Good morning, everyone. This is the continuation of the report of Group 3. Folk dances have 5 classifications. Those are Maria Clara dances, the Igorot or the Cordillera dances, the Muslim dances, the rural or various dances, and the last one is the tribal dances. Maria Clara dances, named after a Spanish-style dress, and its performance includes Spanish footwork with Filipino modifications such as bamboo castanets and Asian fans. The most popular example of this dance is Cariñosa. I know that most of us are familiar with this dance, so I won't tackle it anymore, but always bear in our mind that Cariñosa is our national dance. Second example is Aray, a dance whose words are sung in Chabacano Ermitense, a hybrid of Spanish that was only spoken in the Ermita district before the turn of the century and today is extinct. The dance itself is a flirtatious one that involves graceful use of the panuelo or shawl and tambourines. Aray means och in Tagalog.
Next example is Imunan. Imunan is originated from San Jacinto, Pangasinan. It is a courtship dance, means jealousy. The dance depicts a love triangle, 2 girls and 1 boy. In this dance, the boy tries to please the girls who are trying their best to get his attention and favor. The boy shows an admirable attempt to please both girls by paying attention, flirting, and dancing with them, one after the other. The attempt is successful, and at the end of the dance, all is sweetness and harmony among the 3 dancers.
Next example is the Habanera de Jovencita, a wedding party dance which originated in the town of Botolan in the Zambales province. Typical sequences include the procession of the bride and the groom's parents, line-up of the bridesmaid and groomsmen upstage, and the solo featuring the wedding couple. Next example is the RIGODON ROYALE. This elegant dance was brought to the Philippines by the Filipinos who returned from their travels abroad during the Spanish era. This dance takes its name from its opening performance at formal affairs such as the President's inaugural ball. Members of government, including the President and First Lady, diplomatic corps, and other state officials usually participate in the RIGODON. Traditionally, a ballroom waltz dance would follow the RIGODON. Next is Chotis. Chotis or Shotis was one of the ballroom dances introduced by early European settlers. This dance from Camarines Sur has been adopted by the Bicolano people and is characterized by a brush step hop movement.
This example is Pampil Pilaletan. It originated from Pangasinan. Pampil Pilali can means to gently touch the palms. At the turn of the century, special dance gatherings meant to entertain out-of-town guests brought people together, an opportunity taken by love-struck gentlemen to look around for future partners. Through repressed by moral norms, ladies managed to throw meaningful glances at men, a message that drew each closer to each other. At last, when they stood face to face with hands barely touching, courtship was its most passionate. The amorous touch that may last even a moment is what Pampil Pilalekan is all about. The pining and longing for a loved one.
The last one is Panderetas. It was named after a jingleless tambourines carried by a females and it originated from Tanza, Iloilo. From December 16 to January 6, a group of people in the Visayan regions go from house to house to sing Christmas called the Igon. In some regions, the song is usually followed by some dances, and Las Panderetas is one of those dances. The second classification of folk dance in the Philippines is the mountain or the Igorot dances, or what we call Cordillera dances. The mountain's central Cordillera region of northern Luzon includes 6 ethno-linguistic tribes known as the Ibaloy, Kankanay, Ifugao, Kalinga, Apayao, and Bontok. They prefer to be called by their respective tribal names rather than the collective term Igorot, which was first used by the Spaniards and then later by Christian lowlanders. These tribes were generally unfazed by Spanish colonization. This homogeneous group is recognized by their common sociocultural traits. They hold common religious beliefs, generally nature-related, and make propitiatory offerings to anitos or household gods. Among these people of the Cordillera, dance continues to be an expression of community life that animates the various rituals and ceremonies. It serves for self-edification of the performers and entertainment for the spectators. They dance to appease their ancestors and gods, to cure ailments, to ensure successful war mating activities, to ward off bad luck or natural calamities, and they dance to congregate and socialize for general welfare and recreation, and as outlet of repressed feeling. They also dance to ensure bountiful harvest, favorable weather, and to mark milestone in the cycle of life. The first example is the Apayao courtship dance. It comes from the northernmost section of the mountain provinces. The couple raise and wave their arms and hands like the wings of the bird in flight, and the ceremonial blanket worn by a woman is lightly wrapped around her. The man's movement resembles those of a fighting cock in the preening, strutting, and flying off the ground gestures. The second example is the Bindian. The Ibaloy who inhabit the southernmost mountain regions in northern Luzon perform victory dances to extol the bravery of the warriors of yesterday. In this version from the barrio of Kabayan, hand movements are downward, suggesting the people's affinity with the earth. The basic steps consist of a stamp and a light forward movement by the right. Instrumentalists lead the line, followed by the male dancer, while the female dancers bring in the rear. Next is the Lumagin. This is a dance performed at Kalinga festivals to celebrate Thanksgiving. The next example is Dinuya, a festival dance from Lagawe. It is performed by the Ifugao men and women during a major feast. Accompanying the dance are 3 gongs or gangsa. The tubtub, a brass gong about 10 inches in diameter and played by beating with open palms. And the various hibat or gongs play by beating the inner surface with a stick or soft wood. Next is RAGRAGSAGAN. It is an adaptation of a tradition in which Kalinga women gathered and prepared for a budong or peace pact. The Kalinga borrowed a beautiful word, RAGRAGSAGAN, from the Ilocano, which means merriment. The 2 biggest occasions for a RAGRAGSAGAN in a Kalinga village are for the homecoming of successful head takers and the culmination of peace pact between warring tribes. In this dance, Kalinga maidens balance lava baskets on their heads, wave colorful tribal blankets, and sing short salidumay songs as they snake through the terrace dikes, and skip through breaks in the path. Next is the tarektek. It is originated from Benguet, where wood pickers, known as tarektek, inhabited Mount Data. These wild and colorful birds gave rise to the tarektek dance. In this dance, one tarektek male manipulates a colorful tribal blanket representative of the bird's iridescent plumage, while the other playfully beats on a brass gangsa representing impressive birds' calls as they battle for the attention of three tarektek females. Next is the pattong, known also as the buntok war dance. Pattong is a part of headhunting and war ceremonials, inciting feelings of strength and courage as the warriors prepare to stalk their enemy. In Central Buntok, the dance is also performed in February, March, and April to implore the god Lumawig to send rain. Similar in purpose to that of the rain-calling ceremony of Native American tribes. Much of the movements are improvised. Two camps of warriors are usually featured pursuing each other, culminating in a meal where a fighter from one tribe kills one of his opponents. Next one is the banga. This is from Kalinga. The dance shows the Igorot maidens to go to the river and prepare for a marriage ceremony. They display not only their grace and agility, but also their stamina and strength as they go about their daily task of fetching water and balancing the banga. Clay pots full of water on their heads. And the last one is sakpaya. Sakpaya came from the name of the birds that populated in the world-famous Banawe terraces. The callous hands of Ifugao farmers dig the hard soil and push heavy stones off cliffs to make way for a new rice field, part of the world-famous Banawe rice terraces. High-flying sakpaya birds swoop and hover over the terraces as the Ifugao toil. In times of plenty, the Ifugao farmers give thanks to their sakpaya gods by donning traditional costumes and imitating their flight in this dance. The third classification is the Muslim dances. The Muslim in the Philippines, also known as Moros, include the Maranao, Maguindanao, Samal, and Tausug. Because they were able to resist Spanish colonizations, they were able to preserve the Islamic lifestyle that markedly differs from the majority of the Philippine population. The dancers are characterized by vivid colors and rhythmic movements which reflect the influence of Arabian and Indo-Malaysian cultures. The first example of this dance is the SINGKIL. It is a famous Philippine dance of the Maguindanao people but was popularized by the nearby Maranao peoples of Lake Lanao and later the Bayanihan Philippine National Folk Dance Company. Also known as the Princess Dance or the Royal Maranao Fan Dance. A dance is based on the Maranao interpretation of the ancient Indian epic, the Ramayana and the Darangin. The Singkil narrates a scene in which Sita, Putri Gandingan, escapes her abductor, the demon king Ravana, and is lost in the forest of Alanka, thereupon being found by her husband, Prince Rama. Interesting to note is that in the original Ramayana epic, Rama selects Hanuman, the Hindu monkey god, to find Sita on his behalf. The fact that in the Singkil it is Rama or Rahabantugan who finds her suggests a modification of the original Hindu narration in order to agree with monotheistic Islamic ideology. Kasingkil refers to the art of moving one's feet in and out of two clicking bamboo poles in imitation of putri gandingan who gracefully avoided the falling trees brought about by an earthquake. Performers would therefore gracefully step in and out of bamboo poles, arranged in crisscross fashion while manipulating either fans or simply their bare hands. Played at celebrations and festivals. Traditionally, the dance was performed by a girl of royal blood intent on advertising herself to would-be suitors for her future marriage. The dance is said to have been named after either the leg bracelets or anklets of silver, nickel or brass with shimmering bells of the same name, or the act of voluntary or accidentally entangling on one's feet and either vines or tall grass. The next example is the Sagayan. It is a Philippine war dance performed by both Maguindanao and Maranao depicting in dramatic fashion of steps of their hero, Prince Bantugan. Performers depicting fierce warriors would carry shield with shell noisemaker in one hand and double-bladed sword in the other, attempting rolling movements to defend their master. The third one is Pangalay, a popular festival dance in Zulu. It is performed in wedding celebrations among the affluent families. They may last for several days or even weeks depending on the financial status and agreement of both families. Dancers perform this dance to the music of the kulintangan, gabang, and agungs during the wedding feast. Next example is asik, a solo slave dance performed by the umbrella-bearing attendant to win the favor of her sultan master. Asik usually precedes a performance of singkil. The next one is maglangka. This dance, which originated from Hulu Sulu, is classified under Muslim dance, literally meaning to dance. The maglangka is used to mold the adolescent girls into ladies of good breeding and accomplished dancing skills. The girls are strictly taught to gracefully execute movements imitating birds in flight, fish swimming in the sea, or branches swaying in the air while remaining in the confines of square cloth. These movements required intense concentration and innate style as the ladies express emotions and entertain guests.
Third classification is the rural or barrio dances. Rural and barrio dances, perhaps the best known and closest to the Filipino heart, are the dances from the rural Christian lowlands, a country blessed with so much beauty. To the Filipinos, these dances illustrate the fiesta spirit and demonstrate the love of life. They express a joy in work, a love for music, a pleasure in the simplicities of life. Typical attire in the rural suit include the colorful balintawak and patadyong skirts for the women, and camisa de chino or colored trousers for the men. These dances are lively and incorporate a deep appreciation for music. Often, they include fetish such as balancing jars of oil on the head and arms while dancing gracefully. The first example is the Kalapati. It originated from Cabugao, Ilocos province. It symbolizes peace and is representative by imitating the movements of a graceful dove. It portrays the typical traits of the Ilocanos: simplicity, naturalness, and shyness. The second is the Pandango sa ILAW. The term Pandango comes from the Spanish word fandango, which is a dance characterized by lively steps and clapping that varies in the rhythm in 3/4 time. This particular pandango involves the presence of three tinggoy or oil lamps balanced on the head and at the back of each hand. Another version of this is called osiwas, from Lingayen, Pangasinan. After a good catch, fishermen would celebrate by drinking wine and by dancing, swinging and circling a lighted lamp. Hence, the name osiwas, which in the Pangasinan dialect means swinging. This unique and colorful dance calls for skill in balancing an oil lamp on the head while circling in each hand a lighted lamp wrapped in a porous cloth or fishnet. The waltz-style music is similar to that of Pandango sa ILAW. Third example is itik-itik. It is originated from Surigao del Norte, Mindanao, Philippines. According to the story, a young woman named Kanang, short for Cayetana, was the best dancer in that province. At one baptismal celebration, she introduced new steps which improvisations of the dance sibay. She imitated the movement of the ducks or itik. Because of its unusual steps and fascinating interpretation, the audience began imitating her. Next example is gaway-gaway. It is originated from a small town of Leyte called Haro. The dance depicts children's celebration of a beautiful harvest of the gaway root crop. It imitates the pulling of the stalks, hitting their elbows in a movement called siko-siko. Next is bulaklakan. It is a dance that originated in Tagalog region. During the month of May, it is custom in many parts of the Philippines to celebrate the Santa Cruz de Mayo, a procession usually followed by a social gathering in the house of the Hermana Mayor. In some places, the celebration takes the form of folk dances held in front of the provisional altar built by the Hermana Mayor. Bulaklakan, a lovely and attractive dance, is danced for this occasion. The girls in this dance each hold a garland of leaves and flowers attached to a wire, bamboo or rattan, so that the garland will arc when held overhead. The last classification is the tribal dances. Tribal dances, the hillside and interior of Mindanao in the southern part of the Philippines are inhabited by non-Christian Filipino tribes whose culture and animistic beliefs predate both Islam and Christianity. Dance for them is the basic part of life, still performed essentially for the gods. As in most ancient culture, unlike the Muslim tribes in their midst, their dances are nonetheless closely intertwined with ceremonials, rituals, sacrifice, and life. The examples are, first is Tagabili. This is a dance of Tibuli, a minority national group from South Cotabato, in southwestern Mindanao, who is comparatively sophisticated in language, dress, and mythology. This narrates a story about a dato or prince who is cursed for killing his brother in jealousy over one of his wives. The dato's daughter is to be wed by a likely suitor, but dies as a result of the curse. Enraged, the dato sets his village in flames. Next is the udol dance. It is originated from the Taga-Kaulo tribe of southern Davao Camps. This is a ceremonial dance which portrays death and revenge. It opens with three women walking in with votive candles, mourning the loss of a relative. They are followed by men playing the udul, a long wooden musical instrument. The women make eloquent gestures of tenderness and despair, such as wielding a spear and pounding the udol in anger, countering the steady rhythms of the musicians. A male priest then dances, begging the spirits to guide the soul of the deceased. Finally, two warriors enter, spears in hand, performing a frenzied dance in a circle, then disappearing off stage to the woods, apparently to secure the heads of their enemies. Next is the Karasaguyon. It is originated from Lake Cebu, South Cotabato. Karasaguyon of the Tibuli portrays a polygamous male in the process of picking his next wife from among four sisters vying for his attention. The jingling of beads and brass bells around their waist and ankles provide musical accompaniment.